Welcome to episode 174 of Broad Street Hustle. I'm your host, Tommy Nanny, back this week after another brief hiatus, second time of the football season. We got the regular crew with us. Jason Sad.
Hey, Tom, what's going on?
Jason, how are you? We got Jimmy the Chalk.
Happy Friday.
And pretty much been the boys for the football season and the foreseeable future. Tonight's show, episode 174, we're going to cover some Phillies as they prep for the MLB playoffs. They did secure the bye, so we won't see a meaningful baseball game in Philadelphia until the 4th, I think. October 4th.
Yep.
Don't know the opponent yet. We have some possible idea. Then we'll recap that Eagles game, which was one of the better regular season Eagles games in recent history for sure. And then we'll preview the Eagles Bucs, and we'll do our picks as always. So no reason to waste time here. Let's kick it right off with the Phils. Like I said, they did secure that bye. I believe they secured the bye home field advantage in the World Series as well. So
Yes.
if they were to advance, they will get home field advantage. Like I said, they're going to either play the Dodgers or I guess could be the Mets. Guess could be the Reds. Pretty much. I mean, the Diamondbacks still have an outside shot. It looks like.
I mean, technically, they could still get home field overall, but that's unlikely. Probably overall.
Just like they had the bye for the last 3 weeks, where everybody's worried about if they're going to get the bye. And then just like when they lost 2 games in a row, everybody already had them written off, and they can't win the World Series. It's the world that we live in these days. Is baseball has now become even worse than football. Every game gets analyzed like it's the Super Bowl. But let's kick it off. So, not really much to talk about Phillies wise, like specifically. So, Jason, I'll leave it up to you to kind of just go through some of your thoughts, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, I have a couple points. So, 94 and 65. So, they're playing the Twins here. You have to think they'll probably take 2 out of 3 at least. So, 96 wins. I think that's the same amount of wins they had in 93, if I remember correctly. And they went to World Series. So that would be nice to get to the 96 mark. I do have some concerns. One thing I'll start with, though, is I do know the schedule for the divisional round. So, like you said, Tom, it'll start next Saturday at Citizens Bank Park. But then they are off on Sunday. So it's Saturday, Monday, off on Tuesday to travel, and then it's Wednesday, Thursday, if Thursday's needed because it's a 5-game series. So that's a round where you're only going to need 3 starting pitchers. So we all know who those 3 starting pitchers are going to be. If hopefully they get by that round, then you get to the NLCS. That's where you're going to need the 4th starter. And I hear these guys talking about, what they're going to do with Walker Buehler and if he's going to make the roster and everything. I just don't get why. My thought is, like, Nola's pitching well tonight, which is great. It's only the 4th inning. I can't see the TV right now.
Bottom of the 5th. He's got 58 pitches through 5.
Okay, so he's pitching well. My point is, I would like to have him start Game 4 of the NLCS and have Walker Buehler come in behind him. Like, that's
First of all, I wish you would name names, because whoever is suggesting that Walker Buehler is there's a chance he's not on the playoff roster is a stone cold moron and has no right having a job that produces an income in the field of sports media. But go ahead.
But I just think it's perfect because Nola usually falls apart after, usually in the Ranger Suarez, what they were doing with Ranger back a couple years ago or even last year, let him go 4 innings. Let Walker Buehler come in for 3 innings. Now you're not overusing the bullpen, right? I think that's the perfect way to use Buehler. So that's my point there. Just a couple other quick points, though. My concern is I think there's a real problem with the bullpen, and I think it all stems from Ryan Kirkring. He is the problem because he was counted on to be a late inning arm. And he is not a late inning arm. You can't put him in any situation that is in question, because he has no confidence at all. And what's happening is now you're using a 40-year-old guy who wasn't even pitching a month ago, is now coming in and having to be your setup guy in the 8th inning. That's not what they brought him in for. Like, they brought him in to be somewhat of a late inning pitcher, but you're counting on a Ryan Kirkring to be that guy, and he's just not. And it's throwing the whole bullpen off. Like the other night, when they lost the first game of the last series to the Marlins, Robertson came in and gave up 2 runs. They were up 3-0. Came in, gave up 2 runs in the 8th inning. And then Duran gave up the home run in the 9th, tied it. So then you bring in Kirkring in the 10th, and he totally blows the 10th inning. So now, not only did he blow the 8th inning, because he should be pitching in the 8th inning, he comes in, he's just a total disaster. And I have a real fear that he's going to be a big problem in the playoffs. That 7th, 8th inning is going to be an issue.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to use him. I mean, they're going to use Strom, Robertson.
I don't either, but
Duran.
are Strom and Robertson strong enough to be?
Well, I feel like Strom probably has gotten back to somewhat of where he was last year, right? Where I feel fairly confident. I also think Strom's going to be used in a strategic way. So if the 7th inning is stronger left-handed, he'll come in. If the 8th, you know what I mean? Obviously, they'll play matchups, which will be advantageous. Now, I mean, off the top of my head, like the Dodgers or whatever, I don't know their lineup, so I can't say if they're going to be strong left or not. I mean, I don't know. Kirkring is 6th inning, 5th if your starter has to come out early, and you don't have, I don't see him.
Honestly, is he borderline to make the roster in the playoffs?
Yeah, he's done.
I don't know who else you're using if you don't put him on the roster. So I think so. I think he's in there.
Well, let me say this: if they're not considering doing what I said to do with Bueller, does he become the guy that pitches in the 7th or 8th inning?
Oh, I think that's definitely a
Bueller. Yeah.
Right. So where's that leave Kirkring as a mop-up guy? I don't know.
Yeah, I almost think that maybe in extra innings if you did have to go, because there's no ghost runner now in extra innings.
No, in playoffs, no.
So maybe that. I mean, you got Banks that can also throw the 7th, I think, and come in sticky situations.
Yeah,
they'll rely on him a little bit.
yeah.
I mean, we've been talking about this Kirkring problem for a while now. And
He's a big
even when
problem.
he's pitching well, we said that when it's pressure time, that's when we got to see. And I mean, I think the Phillies have shown that they don't trust him, and but I do think he would still make the roster. I tend to think the Bueller situation is going to play out similar to how you said. My problem with that is you have to, with Nola, they have to have a plan going into the game. We're going to pitch Nola 4 innings. We're not going to see how he looks, because Nola can look unbelievable
And
for
then
4
fall
innings
apart.
and then completely fall apart. They have to say he's going 4 innings, then Bueller's coming in, because then it goes quick for him, like you said. So I tend to think that's the plan, but I don't know. I mean, that would be my thoughts. I would probably support that. If you can get away with using Bueller later, I would love that. I mean, maybe in the first series you can, obviously without the 4 starter. But yeah. I think if you need them, you got to use them in that capacity, like you said. Chalky, what's your thoughts there?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the last 2 games he pitched in, as Jason and I talked about last week, is the kind of the template. I don't think you have him splitting games with Taijuan Walker if that's not your intention for the playoffs. So, and last week, and again, today Jason mentioned, it'll be Noel will be the one he splits with, but I was looking real quick. Rangers started 8 playoff games. He's 5-1 with a 1.5 ERA. He's never pitched more than 5 1/3. So you got to think that might be a spot where if Topper sticks to that and doesn't have any more faith and says, "Look, I'm taking you out before the 6th," I mean, but next series it won't be an issue because you won't have to worry about a Nola start in theory. But when you get to the next two series now, the championship series, should they make that, would be game 2 on a Tuesday, game 4 on a Friday. So you would have 2 days off in between. You could go Bueller 2 innings behind Suarez and then sit 2 days, go 2 innings behind Nola. If you're looking to get 5 out of both of them, that gets you through the 7th in both of those. But based on how we've seen Topper use Suarez, I think we got to be thinking about that. Somebody's coming in for 2 innings if he's not going to let him get through. I mean, I was double checking today. He's pulled them in the 5th inning with 4 and 5 run leads without a lot of pitches thrown. So
See, I would just think like for Suarez, I think that becomes like where you utilize the whole bullpen, right? Because
you'll have the day off, so you could do that.
you're hoping to get solid innings from Suarez. You don't know what you're getting from Nola, right? So, like, are you going to waste your whole bullpen when Nola's comes out in the 4th inning and is giving up 4 runs?
Well, when you got potentially a 5th game in either series next, no, you don't want to be wrecking them that game. So I mean, I think if I have to pick one starter, I would still stay Nola. But knowing how Topper has given these guys, what kind of leash he's given these guys over the years, if both those guys are through 5 innings looking okay with 70 pitches, I think unless they have set that ahead of time, history has shown he's more likely to pull Suarez, despite, everything Nola's been doing.
Right.
So, it'll be interesting to see how they do. I would not give Nola. I have enough confidence in Nola now to get through 5. So it should be Nola.
Wasn't Ranger coming off of late season injuries though in the playoffs?
I don't know if in all 3 years he was, but I know he's never 5 1/3 was the most he's pitched, and in of those 6 of those or 7 of those starts, he's given up 1 or 0 runs, but he still never made it past the.
Yeah, I know.
First
I
episode.
just to be curious.
That I don't. Last year he was definitely did. 2022, I don't remember. He was used in and out of the bullpen and starting that year, so it was less of a given that he would start. But he just doesn't let him get through the lineup, get to a 3rd time through the lineup. So,
I mean, the other problem is too, and I'm a big Topper fan, but he's proven in the playoffs to have made some mistakes now. He took Wheeler out at one point. He kept going back to Kimbrel when he was clearly shouldn't have been. So like with all these ifs and who to use here, you got to trust Topper too, which history hasn't been kind to him, at least in the playoffs. So
yeah. And I mean, Jason's points about the bullpen are absolutely correct. And I mean, I don't know, you might see Taiwan Walker get some innings because he's pitched okay the last 2 games or so.
I don't think he's the guy that you put mothballs until it's the 12th inning. You're out of pitchers.
He's if you absolutely have to, but I could, if you have like a couple long games or using a lot of players, like let's just say you got to throw Bueller in because of something, I think because he's pitched okay the last couple games, they might be more inclined to go than we would have thought even a week ago. But, their best run of the recent years was obviously 2022. Here's some of the bullpen names we had to deal with that year. Andrew Bellotti, Brad Hand, Kyle Gibson, Nick Nelson, Bailey Falter, all pitched in the playoffs. Nobody really, giving any confidence, and somehow they made the World Series, whereas last year might have been the best bullpen, and, what's his name just wasn't on his mark and gave up a couple big innings. Yeah, Hoffman. So, it's it's a crapshoot when you get to the playoffs for sure. And if Sosa keeps hitting 5 home runs a week, they'll probably be all right. But that's probably not going to happen. Once we get there. But yeah.
Well, I do have a question for you guys about a roster spot, because I think it's going to be interesting. Is it going to be Weston Wilson? Or is it going to be Kemp? I mean, for me, it's Kemp.
I mean, I would prefer Kemp. I don't know if that will be the decision, but I think they're both kind of butchers in the field, and I like Kemp's bat better.
Correct. I agree with that.
I guess Wilson gives him a little more versatility as far as positions, but
Has
yeah, I
Kemp
mean,
played
I
yet?
would go Kemp. He has, yes.
Okay, because Wilson's not like
Not a lot, but they played him
it's not
a
like
couple
Wilson's
times.
Willie Mays in the outfield.
No, but he can play a couple different infield positions. I'm looking up now. I know Kemp did play some outfield.
Kemp could play third, second, or first.
Yeah, which is the same as Wilson. And then I
Same
think
as Wilson.
Wilson played a little alpha, but I think Kemp played left field a little bit when he first came off.
What he did too.
So Kemp has played 10 games left field this year.
Look, they're both bad in the field.
Right.
That's a wash if you ask me.
I think Kemp's the better bet.
Yeah.
Local might be slightly better in left field than Kemp, but is he ever going to get out there? I mean,
Well, that's the
Yeah.
thing. Even you start saying, well, these guys played second. Like,
Your hope is to never have to use him.
barring an
Barely,
injury, they're
barely
not
use
coming.
him.
Like, you're not playing them.
no, you got 4 outfielders that are.
You know, they're not going to be in the platoon. So, you know, are you going to, I mean,
And who do you trust coming I mean, you got to look at the pinch hit situation. I don't know if neither have really done it too much, but like, I mean, Kemp has some power. I mean, Wilson can get a hold of one too, but I feel like Kemp just makes better contact and more often.
I think Kemp's the better hitter.
So
Yeah.
I would prefer Kemp.
And one more baseball thing I'm going to throw in that I did give out in our baseball preview: Max Fried to lead the league in wins, 50-1.
and there goes the shutout.
Hold on.
He almost got through the 6 this time.
Yeah, it's as if
This is it.
Like this is why 4 innings and he's got to be done. Got to be done. I don't care if he's got a perfect game. I don't care. 4 innings. But yeah, so Max Fried gave that out to everybody, 50-1. Leads the league.
Is that locked up?
Yeah, because he's got 19. Crochet, he's got 18, but he may have to pitch an emergency game on Sunday. But if the magic number for the Red Sox to get in the playoffs is 1, so they either have to win
they'll
1
be
or
in.
he's got to. So they're going to save him for the playoffs. So yeah, nobody else can catch Fried.
Okay. I guess move on to the football, right?
Yep.
So let's move on to the Eagles. Eagles this week, and then we'll recap the Eagles Rams. So I wrote the score down because I
I
did
did
listen
too.
to you guys last week, and you did not know the score.
I did write the score down.
And we did not know the score. I did not know the score the week prior, so I did write it down. And I forgot that this was the score because it was very controversial, I guess you could say. But the Eagles pulled out the game 33-26 and made the 3.5 look like a gift. Yeah, the score was close. The game was close. It was thrilling. It took 2 blocked field goals to kind of pull it out. Jason, kick us off with with a recap of the Eagles Rams.
Yeah, I mean it's a game that not only shouldn't they have won, they no question should not have covered, but 2 blocked field goals. Carter had the first, and then Davis had the second. For some unknown reason, Davis decided to pick the ball up and run it in for no reason whatsoever.
He's best shape of his life. He's got to show it off.
Ja'Cory Bennett, like their punter is about to just jump on it, and Ja'Cory Bennett pushes the punter like out to like not let him even recover the football.
It's just
It was
the
like
worst beat.
they wanted to pick the ball up and run with it. It looked like they really did.
A couple of us on the podcast had the Rams, so it's one of the worst beats ever. But we'll get to that. But all right. So I watched a lot of Hurts Teague, and obviously he was very bad in the first half. Could be some reasons for that, but he was. But then in the second half, he was very good. I mean, you have to give it to him. He made throws. He made plays. You question some of the Rams' defensive thoughts at that point, because at that point, when the Eagles are down 26-7, they have to open up the offense. So the Rams should have been knowing that and adjusting their defense. They never did. They just kept trying to stop the run, which they did all game. But Stafford was god awful in the game. Just one of the worst performances I've ever seen him have. Just he missed at least 4 or 5 passes, which were just I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he's done or if that was just a bad game, but he was bad. McVay, I thought was awful. Like his play calling on how many third downs did he, go deep on 3rd and 1 and then run right into the line on 4th down? Like just horrendous play calling by McVay. I thought McVay was the one actually who blew the game out of anybody. I thought he was bad. Um, Fred Johnson coming into the game was huge because Pryor was getting abused in the first half. Fred Johnson came in and Fred Johnson looked really good. Because when they lose Lane Johnson, it's usually bad news. He came in and did a really good job, so that's promising. I don't know his situation. How old is he? Is he like
Jonathan,
I know they cut him or traded him and brought him back.
or he's signed. I think he signed free agent with Jacksonville, and then they traded for him in the preseason to bring him back.
Stoutland must do wonders with offensive linemen because that guy,
Not Matt Pryor.
no, we's wrong. AJ Brown is just a monster. I'm coming to the conclusion, I think, might be wrong. You guys might think I'm wrong, but I think he's their best player on offense. I just do. I think he's an absolute monster. I think he changes games. I think I'm going to give it to Hurts. Hurts made plays in the second half, but Brown made plays. Like he just went and got the ball on 3rd down on a couple plays and just made beast plays. I think he's great, AJ Brown. And then I think one really concerning point was I thought the defensive line got abused. Like on the run game, I thought they just got blown off the ball. Like for at least, I mean, definitely the first half. But Carter was not good. I don't know what's up with him, but he had a bad game. They just got gashed by the Rams offensive line in that game. So that could be concerning. But they pulled out another one. They're 3-0.
Yeah, so couple counters to what you said. So I think the Eagles' tempo is what really threw the Rams off. They went like high tempo, no huddle. Now, that's where the fans come in and ask why the Eagles aren't doing this early in games, but they, you can't sustain it throughout the game. But that kind of threw the Rams off. Stafford, I think he's in. He was like
He could
huddled
be
over
hurt.
a couple times.
He could be
I don't
hurt.
know if it's his back.
Yeah,
but he
your
was
back
the
doesn't
guy.
just heal overnight like that. Like he's playing through
I think
stuff.
that could be a problem throughout the season.
He could be
I
hurt.
gotta be honest, I don't remember watching like too much of the Rams the first 2 games like in depth. I don't know if he's looked similar to that as the games, but that could be a problem. I mean, he was missing open guys. He was off. I said it live and I said it after the game. McVay was the biggest reason the Eagles lost that or the Rams lost that game. And I said it at halftime because I'm just running through. I got my Williams. It was they were on the 36-yard line. They were up 16-7. Williams runs for 8 yards. They're on the Eagles 28-yard line. It's 2nd and 2 with 57 seconds. They don't run a play until 19 seconds on the clock. They had 2 timeouts. They don't run. It was like we're just going to get a field goal. They had 2 timeouts. Well, then they don't get it and they wound up kicking a field goal. Why are you not aggressive there? I did not understand that. And I have text messages that say, if the Eagles come back, that play right, that sequence is the reason why the Eagles come back. And then to Jason's point, they were gashing every run. It's 3rd and 1, 2nd and 2, and they're throwing the ball. And then they're in
the first down.
it was. So I thought McVay was insanely the reason why they lost that game. But something that Jason pointed out that said, and I wanted to bring it up, and then we could kick it around. Jimmy could talk his point, but I mean, Hurts I thought played awesome in the second half, and I think in the first half some of the problems were on Hurts. He made bad decisions. I know. But I do think they're playing conservative, and it's either Hurts doesn't like that style, he's not able to play that style, whatever. Last year, Saquon Barkley was the focal point of the offense. The offense ran through Barkley. He had a 2,000-plus season. He was phenomenal. You're not going to do that 2 years in a row. We said it
No.
before. The Eagles need to change the Eagles need to run their offense through A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown is where the offense needs to run to. You go off of it. As soon as they start getting A.J. the ball, Devontae got opened up. That's when Barkley actually was picking up yards on the run. You saw holes in the run game. No more of this, you run first, you play conservative. It's not that. I know it worked last year, and miraculously they're 3-0 this year. It's not sustainable. It's not a sustainable offense, and you go down 26-7, you're going to lose 98% of those games.
Yep.
Whatever the reason is, they won McVay, whatever. They need to change their offense. Their offense needs to run through the receivers, through the passing game, and then you play off it. If they don't do that, they're going to have trouble throughout the season. Now, I want to say that they are going to change it, but I don't know. I mean, it's hard to argue because they've been winning, and sometimes winning blinds it. And we remember in 23, they were 10-1, and they were winning, and you saw what happened. So I think that's the key takeaway from this game is that ball needs to go to A.J. Brown, and you run through A.J. Brown. Even if they don't win the game, that was the eye-opener is no Saquon coming off of his season physically probably can't do it. Plus, the teams are gearing up for it. You have to go through A.J. Brown. That's where the offense needs to be. Chalky?
Yeah, I mean, not much to add from what you guys cover. I mean, like I said, it was a tale of two games. They get the early interception and score, and then for the next 30 minutes, it was like the worst of the worst on both sides of the ball. Surprised they threw it as much as they did because they were gashing them on the ground. And Stafford, Puka had a big game and Adams had that touchdown, but he wasn't spreading the ball out. Like Atwell had one, I think, target. The tight end only had one or two targets. So he was locking in on those two guys pretty much when he was throwing. So, and then Williams had that 10-yard touchdown after the turnover. You would think the second half playbook and how they ran it, and I guess what the players have been saying up to and including this game will make you think that they'll be willing to open it up a little more. But this is like the third year or fourth year in a row I've said it now. With or without Saquon Barkley, Hurts is a completely different quarterback if A.J. Brown is not on the field. You look at the couple games that he's missed over the last couple years through injury, he does not have anywhere near the numbers that he does. And of course, A.J. Brown's a great player, but it's night and day how those three games they struggled on offense last year against Atlanta, New Orleans, and Tampa, all A.J. Brown out. Playoffs against Tampa, A.J. Brown out. Even if he only targets him once like he did in the Dallas game, he commands attention and, he's a diva and all that. Great. But, I mean, he said you give your playmakers a chance to make plays. Like, throw the ball up. If you get single man-on-man coverage, he can go and track a ball and jump with any DB in the league, as can Smith, really. So it's like, is Hurts the most accurate? No. Does he hit everybody in stride or anticipation? No. But he throws a good ball where if it's a one-on-one matchup, he gives his receiver a chance to go get it. And that's where both Brown and Smith can excel. So if they're getting those coverages and the opportunities there, which may not happen this week, which we'll get to, you gotta feed them and let them. And that's what happened. Boom, 30-some yards of Brown, touchdown. Now Goddard's open. And that just opens everything up. And you don't need Saquon to be a bell cow 2,000-yard back to win games. So I mean, maybe you'll have that for the playoffs if you don't have to hand the ball off as much, and they have to learn how to figure out how to cover kickoffs, return the ball. But
yeah, it's another thing. How does the NFL make the kicker so goddamn important? Now you got
cost the Cardinals the game last night.
You got field goals for 60 yards. You got kickoffs that are knuckleball.
Incredible.
It's unbelievable
that they made kickers even more important with these idiotic rules. It's just unbelievable to me. Like, just to start with, you're moving the extra point back. All right. that's not making guys. That's not making coaches go for 2 because the extra points move back. They're still kicking the extra point, but it's making the kicker more important because now kickers are missing extra points and all because it's not a chip shot anymore. So that's number one. And then, they're hitting, a 55-yard field goal now is like it's pretty much like a 40-yard field goal used to be. A 55-yard field goal is now, right? Now the kickoff rules, like Chalky mentioned, like the game, like that lost the game for them last night because of that idiotic rule. Like, just make the rules like it was. The kicker kicks it out of the end zone, you get the ball on the 30-yard line. That's all.
I mean, like you could just look at the Eagles game and any game where a team needs a field goal on the last drive. You got to kick off. You can't kick in the end zone to get it to 35. So you got to do some kind of goofy kick. They probably still get it to 30, 35. Now you need 2 first downs and you're in field goal range. Two first downs and you're in field goal range. It's ridiculous.
I mean, they changed a couple years ago to say, well, we don't want as many returns. Too many guys are getting hurt. And now it's like, well, we want returns, but we don't want the guys running as fast, and that'll keep guys from getting hurt. And whatever. I still don't understand what the new rules are, but
It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
It was dumb.
I don't know. I don't even know where we got that, where that came from. But
because
nice.
the Eagles botched just about every kickoff they got in the game. Yes, to the point where I was out of town and I at halftime I was listening to the Sirius feed with Merrill and Mike Quick, and they had nothing good to say, and they were saying, well, maybe they've learned how to field a kick in halftime, and so they couldn't even justify what they were doing.
But it was a knuckleball that would hit the ground and spin, and they had no idea which way. I mean, it's like I'm not saying that they can't adjust, but like they never seen something like that before.
No.
It's insane.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Eagles. So let's say death taxes and the Eagles playing Tampa Bay in September or October, whatever, is a guarantee these days, and that's what we got again. So the talk all week is Eagles are going to Tampa, the humidity, they went a day early, that whole storyline. And it's legit. It's a legit storyline. But injuries are also a big storyline for both teams.
Yeah.
Eagles were injured last year when they went down there. They're not as injured this year, especially on offense. It's more on the defensive side. But Tampa Bay is very injured, especially on the O-line. So not sure which way that'll go. Jason, how do you see this game?
All right, so like you mentioned, I mean, Eagles and Bucs have a lot of history lately, and it seems like Bowles has a good plan for Hurts with his blitzes and zones and stuff. He blitzes from D-backs. He's got Hurts. We know Hurts is not good against the zone. So you combine the Tampa 2 with the blitzes that Bowles is doing, and it seems like it's going to be an issue. Now, the one thing I will mention is last year when they played, and the Eagles were terrible in that game, and Hurts looked terrible and all. They did not have A.J. Brown. They didn't have Smith either. So
And Lane Johnson.
right. So you take all that with a grain of salt. Like, I still think he does stuff to contain Hurts, but
And the playoff game they lost, the Eagles were in the worst free-for-all I've ever seen.
whatever. And they didn't have Barkley and all back then.
And
Yeah, but I'm saying so.
no AJ Brown.
But no AJ, that goes
Yeah.
towards the 1-4
Yeah.
record that Hurts is
Yeah.
against Bulls.
Yeah. So, you mentioned that the Bucs have injuries. Mike Evans is out, but they are getting Godwin back. So, but they have other injuries also.
Godwin's on a pretty restricted snap count, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
Eagles are without Nolan Smith, and now Jackson's out. I saw he's no big deal. I don't even think he's that good. Granddad's going to play. The Eagles' run game has been struggling. I don't. I'm the biggest fan of their offensive line. I don't think their offensive line has been that good this year. I think Dickerson's hurt, so I think that's an issue. But Jurgens has not been good. He's been struggling. Obviously Johnson got hurt last week, and then Pryor was bad, but Johnson will be back. I think there's some holes in their offensive line this year, and I think that's hurting the run game a little bit. But Eagles are somehow 3-0. I agree, Tom. I know you mentioned that 2023 when they were 10-1. This has a little bit of the feel of that to me. There's no way they should be 3-0 right now. But then I'll point to Tampa Bay, and there's no way they should be 3-0, right? They're a fraud also as 3-0. Um, I mean, they beat some bad teams. They probably should have lost to the Jets. Although that might have been a look ahead game because they had the Eagles coming up. But still, I mean, they struggled in that game. They better beat a bad Falcons team, bad Texans team. So they're a little bit of a fraud at 3-0. I think it's going to be a low scoring game. I looked the Publix on Tampa Bay for whatever reason. I don't know why. I guess because the spread's 3.5. But I'm going to say the Eagles are going to win 20-16. I don't know. I just think the Tampa Bay is a little bit more of a fraud than the Eagles are at 3-0. I don't see
Yeah,
them
I'm not
going
that
for
far
'em.
off. I mean, I think that I don't think I don't I mean I did allude to the 20. I think the Eagles are a good team. I think some of their problems have been that they want to be late. They're still living in last year, and like when you win, teams adjust to you. And if you just stay the same team, you traditionally don't succeed. I think that's what the Eagles did. And the better teams that win come out the next year with a different game plan. So maybe the Rams game opened their eyes to that. But I think this Bucs team is very fraudulent. Um, and their offensive line is a disaster right now. So I know the Eagles' defensive line has some injuries. They haven't looked good, but I do think it's a chance that they can really take advantage. I could see Fangio maybe dialing up some pressure in different types of ways. But they got like 2 of their 5 guys are out. I think all 5 are playing in positions they're not usually playing in. It's like a mess. So I could see them just keeping the pressure on Baker pretty much the whole game. The heat, that's still a factor, but I think they're a little more prepared this year. There's things you can do throughout the week to get ready. They went down a day earlier, not so much think that makes that big of a difference. But I'm just not big on this Tampa team. And then when I see that 3.5 on the road, it tells me Vegas is kind of looking the same way. So I'm going to take advantage and side with Vegas. And the under, it's 44.5, kind of small number, which tells me it's probably going to go unders. So I have the Eagles 27-13, not really too close, but staying under the 44.5 and covering the spread. Chalky?
We're all pretty similar, I think, here. They were originally calling for a chance of rain. It looks like that's not going to happen, so it'll be low 90s plus whatever humidity for the game. I mean, this was a game, preseason I had circled as a loss just because I thought they could be 3-0, and this would just be setting up for the road trip where Hurts always has trouble and would be looking for a game to possibly lose at this point. The injuries on the Bucs side are obviously concerning. Evans out, Godwin's not 100%, and Mayfield has a biceps injury. Now he's going to play, but how much is that going to hamper him potentially? Their second best defensive lineman in Kancey is out for the year. So, maybe they can run the ball a little more. I think it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be pretty. I'm more along Jason's scores. I don't think the Eagles are going to get more than 20, but I think that's going to be enough to win the game. I'm going 20-13 Eagles.
Yeah, and also I think they're just going to put Quentin Mitchell on Mbuka.
The rookie, yeah. He'll follow them all game at this point.
Yeah, and they kind of did that with Devontae Adams, and he kind of, for the most part, shut Adams down. The touchdown wasn't against him, but they had Puka. The Rams had Puka. I mean, Godwin's going to be on a snap count. I don't know who, Miller. I don't even know who their receiver without Evans. So I can see their offense kind of struggling.
Sterling Shepard's they're still there, I think.
Yeah, good luck with that. So yeah, I kind of see it. We kind of all see it the same way. It's a 1:00 game. Eagles are a 3.5 point favorite. Over under is 44.5. So we'll see what happens. All right. I think it's time to jump into picks.
Yeah, we'll give some stats for last week. So Over under was 8-8. Overs 22, unders 26 on the league for the year. Public had a good week. They were 10-6. They're still having a bad year. They're 20-28 on the year. As for our picks, Tommy had another good week. He went 2-1. He had the Steelers as his best bet, but he won that. He did lose the Broncos, but then he had the Browns. I'll go next. I was 1-2. I had the Texans, who they're just a bad team. They're bad team. They just find ways to lose. And they did in that game. I did have the Bears, who I really liked. Really did like the Bears, and they blew the doors off of Dallas, right? Was it Dallas? Yeah,
Yep.
Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas. Yep.
Yeah.
And then the Rams. I mean, come on. That's like the bad beat of the year. How they don't cover that game, I don't know. What they didn't, so I went 1-2. Chalky, you went 1-2 as well. You had the Cowboys, so we were opposite of that game. That was your best bet. You had the Rams as well, so you have every right to complain, just like I did, 'cause that was ridiculous. But then you did win with your Chiefs pick, so you went 1-2. Rally Monkey for the third straight week went 1-2. His best bet was the Packers. They lost outright.
He picks the Packers every week.
Yeah, I think he likes just to pick the best teams. He's kind of like he really like a picker. Dude, that's amazing in similarity. He had the Colts, but then he had the Bengals, so that was a disastrous pick. So he went 1-2. So we go over our records for the year. Tommy is 7-2 with a profit of $428, 78% win, 48% ROI. I'm 5-4, $62 profit, 56% win, 7% ROI. Chalky 3-6, loss of $337, 33% win, minus 37% ROI. Rally Monkey's 3-6 as well. Best bets, Tommy's 3-0. And lifetime, he's 30-22, 58%. I'm 2-1. 31-23, lifetime 57%. Chalky 0-3. Come on, Chalky. You're bringing down the best bet record of the Brodsky Hustle. You're 26-3 and 46%. You have to forget Meeker. What are you, 23, 28, 45%. Chalky, you better stay above Meeker's best bet percentage. Talking.
Oh, come on now. He's stuck. Like, you know, he would be dropping more if that was stuff going on.
So lifetime, I'm 95-72, profit of $1,417, 57% ROI, 57% win, 8% ROI. Tommy's 81-76, minus $31, so he's just about even, 52% win, just about even ROI. Chalky's 83-85, loss of $894, 49% win, minus 5% ROI. Never forget Meeker, 72-81, loss of $1,598, 47% win, minus 10% ROI. Our record without Meeker, 259-233, $493 profit, 53% win, 1% ROI.
Okay. Do picks. So I did miss last week, so it's probably only fair to kind of start over the order that we usually do, because I forget how we exactly do it all the time. So why don't we just start back from the top, and then we'll go from there for next week, barring I'm there. So Chalky, it puts you in first in line to kind of start the season.
All right, so my best bet is going to be San Francisco minus 3.5 against the Jaguars. That's minus 110. Second pick is going to be Rams minus 3.5 against the Colts. That is minus 115. And my third pick is going to be Atlanta minus 2.5, minus 105 against the Commanders. And I have the Rally Monkeys.
Yeah.
With the explanation, so if you have any curiosity as to why these picks are being made, Monkey's best bet is going to be Chargers minus 6.5. I'm sorry. That's he's saying 6.5. DraftKings currently has it at 6. So that's -6, -110 against the Giants. Chargers are 3-0 against the spread with the best cover rate carried over from 24 facing a rookie quarterback.
That's better than Eaker's usual.
Well, yeah. Better than last week's explanation that the Bengals were going to cover because Joe Burrow is back in the lineup. Anyway.
Matt Rally Monkey says he thinks Vegas got that line wrong. He thinks the Chargers.
Yeah. Very much got that line wrong. All right, so the second pick is going to be Bears plus 1.5 against the Raiders. That is currently -120 on DraftKings. It says Chicago's offense under Ben Johnson exploded for 31 points against Dallas, exploiting zone-heavy defenses like Vegas, 24th in pass defense. Caleb Williams' growth in the run game gave them an edge in a close matchup. So Bears plus 1.5. And then the final pick is going to be a head-to-head for me and the Rally Monkey. He's got Colts plus 3.5 against the Rams. Indy is 3-0 straight up and against the spread. Rams blew a 19-point lead and face a surging Colts defense. And it says these picks are -105. And it says these picks emphasize undervalued underdogs and favorites with proven against the spread trends.
Okay. So for me, I found good fortune going with favors this year. I know in last I tried to look for underdogs but I've actually found some good picks with the public fading a favorite and going with a dog, and that's kind of where I'm at this week as well. So I ended up with 3 favorites, and my first one is a head-to-head with the Rally Monkey. I got Vegas minus 1.5 plus 100 as my best bet. Dude, if you take that Chicago game and use that offense that they played Dallas and use that for future thoughts, Dallas' defense is horrendous. Like, that's why Calvin Williams can't complete 8-yard passes. That's why they look good. I think Chicago is awful still, and I think Williams is still awful. So I'm going to look to exploit the Vegas matchup there and take them at -1.5. I got New England -5.5. Carolina. Always look for those blowout games and go, look for that. New England should be a bigger favorite in my opinion. Vegas got that one wrong. I think Carolina's actually, they're nothing special. They beat Atlanta. Stings. And then my last pick is Buffalo -14.5, -112. I like these big lines. I took the Ravens one week when they were laying 11.5 or so. These are the lines where I just think Vegas can't make them big enough. Saints are horrendous. Now, you run into a backdoor cover, or a team lets down, etc. But I mean, realistically, this could be a 20-point spread. They can't make it a 20 point. There's only a limit to what these spreads could be. So I'm going to take advantage of that as well and take Buffalo -4.
So I didn't catch if you mentioned this. So the Patriots line, that's a -108 line. If you didn't mention that.
I don't think I mentioned it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So my best bet, Chalky, it's not your best bet, but it's your second bet, is the Rams -3.5, -115. I think they beat they outplayed the Eagles last week, and they totally blew the game. I think they're going to be pissed off. They're coming home against that Colts team, who I think is a little fraudulent at 3-0. They're not going to be a 4-0 team. There's just no way. I think the Rams beat them. I think they come back to earth, the Colts. I think the Rams cover that game. So -3.5, -115. My second pick, Chalky, you also have, is the Falcons. -2.5. They're getting a Commanders team. Now, it's going to be the second game they're playing with a backup quarterback. We all know that when a team plays the first game with a backup quarterback, they all, lift their games up. Second game sometimes is a letdown game. Mariota has played well, though. I will give him credit. He has played well in that offense. But Falcons got totally embarrassed by Carolina last week. I don't think that that game is kind of, what they are. I think they're gonna be pissed off. They're gonna play pissed off. They're gonna come. I think they're gonna win this game outright. Obviously, they're the favorite, but here's here's a point. So if we did the show last night, Falcons would have been getting points because the question of whether Daniels was playing or not. So it's still swung. I still think they're going to win at least by a field goal. So I'm keeping my Falcons pick. My third pick is in agreement with Tommy, with the Patriots -5.5, -108. Um, I thought that line was, when you look at, should the Patriots really be favored by that many? I just thought it was a shady line. I do think they're the better team, but are they -5.5? I mean, are they that much better than Carolina, who's just coming off winning a 30-0 game against a team that's not terrible? I mean, they're not great, the Falcons, but they're not terrible. Um, I just think that line definitely tells me something. And the public obviously is on Carolina. I'm on the Patriots. I think they win by a touchdown. So
Yeah, I think that it's one of those games where I don't know where you say. I would be curious to see what the line was before Carolina blew out the Falcon. You know what I mean?
well, I know what the opening line was, but
Yeah,
I
but
don't know
that
when that
opening line is not that
yeah.
Vegas Insider opening line is like from not before the game start, like the week prior,
Yeah. It's
because it's way off.
it was 3 and it was +3.5, so whenever that's from.
Yeah, but because that's a direct. That's why I always like those games, and we've talked about it before. When the team blows it out, it's the quintessential overreaction. The line.
Yeah.
It's baked into the line. So,
Yeah.
all right. Anything else? Any prop bets? We haven't really talked too
Um,
much about those. I don't have anything.
no, I don't have any touchdowns this week. I mean, usually I look at a team that I think's gonna win, like
Mhm.
maybe, something, Bijan Robinson, that's not anything earth shattering, but
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be back next week. We'll have what are we saying? Thursday of next week. So we should have the Phillies opponent. Might have the Phillies opponent, I guess.
we may, but we'll do our preview of the whole playoffs.
But we'll knock out. We might have the first round over, but we'll preview the rest of it. And we'll get you ready for MLB for Phillies playoffs and obviously football picks, everything else. Have a great night.